Hello. We live right now. We're doing pretty good. Today is May 23rd, Thursday, 5:50, and we are chilling. We're doing our thing. It was interesting. I was in the bed, had about an hour and a half left to before I woke up. Um, I was like, I know I didn't do something yesterday. What was that thing? You always have those moments, especially when you leave the house and you're like, wait, I'm missing something. I didn't pack something. It's a lot easier to do this stuff before I leave the house. Sada, right? Yada, yada, yada. Well, yesterday, I did not write in my journal. And I tell people this is true, mostly, that I've written every day for the past 2009, 8, 9. I say either 2009 or 2010. I think it was 2009 because New Year resolution. My then girlfriend, now wife. I was with her, so I was trying to do all these crazy goals and all that good stuff, right? But yeah. So there's been, I think, a handful of times where I've missed writing actually in the span of, let's say 2009. Let's give me some credit. 2009, it's 2024, 9, 15 years. So I probably missed about at most 2 weeks of actually writing. And it's pretty good. So I'm gonna write for tomorrow, today, and then write today. It looks like I haven't missed a day at all, but I'm just being honest with you guys. Other than that, we are doing good. I don't really bring up Amazon right now because Amazon is doing its thing. I'm not going to rush my representative, even though I think it's a simple job to do. But if I try to do it, it won't get done. It will tell me to make a new listing, prove who I am, give them my passport, driver's license, all that good stuff, right? So I'm going to let it play out the way it needs to, because if it doesn't, then I'm going to be screwed even more so, because once it's fixed, then I can be able to make listings from the ones that are corrected. And we'll go from there. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've talked to her. I've looked at it yesterday and it's the same, but it's all good. It is what it is. But one thing I've noticed that I've been doing is that I've been putting too many things on my plate. It's with not so much the podcast. I kind of just did that on my own. And for the most part, that was the only thing I was doing. And then lately, the past month, I've been buying new cameras, learning how to use them, integrated blogging into my workflow. And then YouTube has been there since the beginning of the year. But now that I'm learning more things, editing and doing more videos and ideas and all that good stuff, I've been putting a lot of stuff on my plate. So even though I'm not happy with the place Amazon is at, that's okay, because I got other shit to worry about or do. And I have way too many things on my plate. So I'm just going to let it be what it is and kind of just play it out the way it needs to. And then once Amazon hits prime time, where I need to divert some attention to, then a lot of this stuff will be worked out, mitigated, and then we can go from there. But yeah, today's the last day of my kids going to school for the school year, which is kind of frightening. I've already got a glimpse of it. Yesterday they were off. I was at home and they're just asking for food, wanted to go out. And they have a little job too. What they usually do, well, not usually, but what we beg them to do is to pick up poop. We have 2 dogs, one giant dog and one small dog. And they poop. And as they poop, it accumulates. And I'm not the best at it, but again, they wanted a job. I told them to pick up poop, and they really suck at it. They really do suck at it. I don't think they picked up poop the whole day so far, which is cool, but I mean, the whole week so far. So they're supposed to get paid on Friday. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let Friday be what it is, and they're going to ask me for some stuff. And I'll be like, nope, no money. You did not clean up poop today, this week. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But they're going to take them out today, do some stuff with them, bouncy house and all that good stuff. So, yeah, that should be mostly fun for them. I will probably be on my phone. We'll see. So today I am going to pick a topic, not a random topic, but a topic. On my podcast episode thingy. Okay. I did talk about men versus women last time. Bitterness and sourness in coffee. No, not right now. Kind of doing that right now with the sweetness. Coffee creamer dilemma. Yeah. Let's just do it. Sometimes I want to hold some back, but let's go ahead and do it. Let's talk about coffee creamer. Coffee creamer is delicious. That's a confession from a coffee roaster. The honest truth. When I first started in coffee, that's all I did. I mean, I was doing what my wife did. And she loved coffee creamer. She doctors everything, actually. We have so many condiments, no matter when it's time to eat. She brings out like 4 or 5 condiments. I start to do the same. You know, you think about sauces too. That's kind of like the same type of situation, right? You got to put sauce on something. And people don't realize that a lot of times, especially when you have these chefs out there and they say their dish and then they say this sauce or this broth or this condiment. It's there to enhance the food. I won't say the situation. That's my new word, right? But it's there to enhance the food. It's there to make it better than what it is. It's the same thing I feel about the whole anaerobic thing. It's like, okay, I really want to know what that coffee tasted like before you did something, so to speak, magical to it. So now we have coffee, right? And the reason why we, for the most part, especially in the beginning of our journey, is that we doctored it, that we changed it, that we made it to us better. And, you know, they have so many different coffee creamers out right now. You have oat milk creamer. That's what my son uses from time to time when he asks for coffee. My daughter loves coffee creamer and a splash of coffee. French, sweet French, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. French whatever. I don't understand sometimes these namings, but I think they're trying to make it more luxurious than what it is. It's sugar in a box. That's what it is. And sometimes they do taste different. I like sweet cream. They changed the name. I don't think they have the rights to that, but it's still the same thing. And we got the macchiato flavored type of chocolate type of. It's not as sweet. It has a little bit more depth, but it's still sweet. You're drinking. Nobody's gonna add really salt to their coffee. If they do, it's a sprinkle, probably to bust off the bitterness or whatnot. But that's what they're doing. That's the thing. That's the idea. That's the logic of the situation, right? That's the intent. And most times it's magical. all you're trying to do is keep up your ritual that you do each and every day. And at times, most people have a couple cups of this. But why did they put that stuff in their cup anyway? I put it in the cup because to me, it did make the coffee taste better originally. Right? And that's more so the case. Now I love it black. I just can't get enough of it. Even though it's when it's barely roasted and I'm trying to taste it for what it is, like yesterday in my YouTube video that it's going to come out in the next couple of weeks about roasting for sweetness. We'll see how people take to the roasting videos. But as I kept going down my journey and understanding coffee a little bit more and realizing that coffee has a natural flavor of acidity and some sweetness here and there, and it can be dependent on the roast level and the degree of how the roaster roasted the coffee and the brew method and all that good stuff, that it really just transforms kind of the way that you go about drinking coffee. It's interesting though, if you think about it, because a lot of times when people talk about tea, they don't really talk about doctoring that much. They just drink that dishwater for what it is. Dishwater water for what it is. I used to be a tea drinker, so I can make fun of tea drinkers because they're an interesting breed. But for the most part, we'll drink it black or regular. And as we do that, we just drink it and it doesn't do anything. Tea doesn't really have any real inherent good taste. And I hate when people tell me that when coffee tastes like that. I will run away as far as I can if somebody say tea like. So if you get my coffee, I will not be describing it as tea like. I will not be picking coffee if it says tea like. But I guess I'm getting off on a tangent because of my hatred of tea. I should probably make that a topic for another day. But you don't see a lot of tea people actually doctoring their beverage. Not so much. I mean, if you have like a black tea, it's kind of like coffee. So if you put a little bit of milk, creamer, whatever, it kind of tastes like coffee. You go on your merry-go way. But yeah, so that's more so the thing. So I was about to say the situation. But why does coffee have that thing where people feel inclined, want to? It's really not looked down upon, except when you go to a specialty shop, that you doctor your beverage. So you see, here's what I'm getting at. Here's the thing about this, is that I did it mainly in the beginning because I think I needed to. I even started making different creamers and all that good stuff because I didn't really want the stuff in the store. I was trying to be healthy at that time. They said it had bad chemicals. I don't care now. If I drink it with creamer, I drink it with creamer. I'm just trying to get the sugar, the sweetness, right? But I think I did that because even though I was on this coffee journey, I think I probably realized that the coffee wasn't as good as what I'm drinking now or throughout the journey. And my palate has developed enough to where I just wanted the good stuff. I just wanted to taste coffee for what it was. Naked, unadulterated, just pure. Now, this is not so much of a snobby type of thing coming out here. I'm just talking about just enjoying it for what it is. You don't see wine people putting different things in their coffee. I mean, in their beverage, right? Especially if it's just a pure type of wine, classical type of wine. I'm not talking about like sangria or anything like that. I am really talking about just wine itself. People just drink it. And it's interesting because my wife, she's a big wine drinker. She doesn't doctor that. But when it comes to coffee, we have to doctor it, right? We have to, and that's another thing that I'm trying to figure out and understand, because that's the thing about coffee. There's so many different variables. Okay, now you got it. It's roasted, right? It's a light, medium roast, light, medium, or dark roast, and there's so many different profiles. Sometimes really the profiles don't really matter that much. That coffee tastes the way it does in a medium, as a dark, as a light. It doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't. But that's a topic for another day. Again, it's like when you watch movies and you're like, man, you see a trailer, you're like, I want to watch that trailer. I don't want to watch this movie, right? But I'm getting there. Let's see if we can get back on topic with this coffee creamer dilemma. So, coffee creamer and coffee, they go hand in hand, right? They do. And as I was continuing on my journey, I just wanted to taste it for what it was, to really enjoy it for the purity. I know it sounds very snobbish, but that's kind of like more so what I think and think about, right? And it's interesting that as I kept going down the journey, I became more fascinated with what the coffee tasted like. Different coffees tasted like, different roast degrees tasted like. The journey. There's no destination in coffee, really. It's really not, but it's just the path that we take, right? In order to get the thing that we like and to enjoy it the way we want to, with different brew methods and different recipes and overviews and all that good stuff, right? But one thing I realized with creamer in general is that creamer is probably one of the biggest enhancers in a lot of things. It just makes your mood a lot better. Hell, I drink creamer with decaf, and I love it. It's great. I just want that fix of old time of just feeling what I feel. But think about what I just said, though. I'm at this place right now. I'm a coffee roaster. I can get any beans that I want. I can taste what I want. I can roast and do the things magically any way I want to. And I just told you that I enjoy creamer with my decaf or with a specialty graded coffee. And I think that's where I'm getting at. And don't get me wrong, I actually have decaf every day, especially when I'm at home early in the morning with my wife, because when I make her coffee, I make the base, the black coffee, and I get a spoon and I mix her coffee together and I mix it through. And I get a spoon and I take one sip of coffee of her, doctored her to her magical elixir, perfect recipe type of beverage that she's going to have that morning. And I take one sip. And I'm good. I do that every morning just to kind of get that fix, just realizing that what I just said. Well, I guess what I'm saying really is that if I was putting a shitty cup of coffee in right next to a fantastic cup of coffee, because I've done this, I've actually got Amazon basics mainly for competition wise and to see what it tastes like. It tastes okay. It needs some work. It tastes old. Of course, that's me purposely being hyper critical and all that good stuff, right? But I guess what I'm saying right now is that if you put a crappy cup of coffee and a good to great cup of coffee next to each other, and you put creamer in there, you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy. That's not me trying to pull one over your head or anything like that, but really think about that. Really think about that logic, if that makes sense. You're going to be happy as long as you have your creamer, it's sweet enough, or it has just the right amount of sweetness to coffee ratio. You're going to be happy. And that's the coffee creamer dilemma. That's something I don't think a lot of roasters are thinking about or realizing, is that we come here, we talk about coffee, talk about how awesome it is to us, which it is awesome. It's awesome just black. Sometimes if you want to do like a cold brew or iced coffee, you can enjoy it in a refreshing summer day and all that crap, right? But it doesn't matter mostly with majority of the people. They're just drinking their coffee with creamer. And a lot of times they don't feel like spending $25 for a small bag to get their fix. Don't get me wrong, they probably will taste a difference. But now let's talk about 80-20 pruning. If that crappy cup of coffee with creamer is really good or good to them, and that good tasting coffee is spectacular, how much of the needle does it really move? Not that much more. It's not like it's going to be 100% better. Because the thing about it is that we still doctor it. We use the creamer. And to make it better to us that way. The thing that's constant here isn't the coffee. It's the creamer. And that person can more so make it taste different the way they want to if they get different creamers. They don't care what the coffee really tastes like. They'll like a base. They'll like a Central South American coffee, They'll prefer that because then it won't interfere so much if a coffee is acidic or whatever. Because don't get me wrong, my wife can tell the difference between a green coffee or acidic coffee compared to something that's more chocolatey or peanut buttery and all that good stuff. People can tell, but not enough to where it really truly matters. A lot of times when she goes out and goes to on vacations and stuff like that, and she's told me about the coffee, how the coffee is so crappy and all that good stuff. And it's true. I know it's coffee. It's coffee like Keurig or in the box that's already been ground and all that good stuff, right? But she doesn't say anything about the creamer. So if they actually had decent creamer that she's probably more so attuned to or like or with, I think there's probably be less complaining, less of a thing to where it's not that bad or hurt my feelings because you had decent coffee where you were. But she doesn't mention the creamer. Coffee is always going to be there, no matter where you go. Good, bad, great, not great. Most of the time you have to order that. Good, you have to order that too, for the most part. But coffee, that's going to be there. Nobody talks about the creamer. And everybody has a different way to go about adding sweetness or joy to their morning. And most of the times with creamer. So that's the thing I'm talking about. That's the coffee creamer dilemma. And that's something that I don't think a lot of coffee professionals are really talking about. They're worried about their flavor wheel and what they're tasting and cupping and all that shit and telling people this is what they'll taste. Yeah, they'll taste that stuff black probably. They'll probably get a good indication of what it tastes like black. But they won't really taste that stuff anyway because they're drinking it with creamer and they're enjoying it. And they won't probably take that coffee because it's so expensive. And even though it is a little bit better, it's just a little bit better because the most important thing is a creamer. and it doesn't matter which coffee you get. And that's a battle that roasters, even like me, are facing to an extent, because I think my prices are right there. It's a lot higher than what it was in the past, but it's still more expensive than what most people are willing to pay for, you know? And it's a lot easier for them to just be like, hey, I got my creamer, I got my fix, I know what I like. This is what I'm going to use. And they're good. That's the most important thing to somebody's life in their morning, is if they got creamer in the morning. Because don't get me wrong, it's interesting when we run out of creamer. I know the house is going to be torn up because it's not the same for my wife. She's drunk. Coffee just black sometimes. She's doctored with some powdered creamer that we have in the house, just as a pinch, just to get us through so she can have something to put on her lips and all that good stuff. But that's the thing about this. That's the thing that we got to really understand and get to and ponder. And I don't think a lot of people, especially professionals, realize that people are people. They like what they like. And as much as we try to doctor or change the way they go about doing things, you really can't. Some people will change for whatever reason, for whatever the situation it is. But a lot of times, and I wouldn't even say so much of it is a maturity of the person, because that's them, that's their life, that's what they like. You got to give them what they like. Once it leaves your hands, it's not yours anymore. You may think it's yours, but that's part of the deal, right? That's part of the deal of this whole e-commerce, commerce, and transaction or barter, is that you made something, you promoted it, you advertised it, you marketed it to this person, and they said, yeah, they raised their hand and they were like, okay, that I want that. And you said, okay, great. Here it is. This is how much it is. And then you exchange the money. You take the money because that's what you want in order to keep going and surviving. And you give them this bag of coffee, this product, this thing that's going to help them throughout the days, weeks, hopefully not more than a month. And they're going to be on their journey without you. With you, sort of, because you put your magic into that bag of coffee, right? But without you, they're not looking for you for rules and recipes and temperatures and approaches to the coffee. Not so much, really. People do know what to do with a bag of coffee. Either it's already ground already, they grind it in their coffee grinder. People know what to do with coffee. They don't need you to tell them what to do. They don't need you to tell them to drink it black first. They don't need you to tell them this is the recipe that you need to do in order to have a magical day. Fuck that. They could do it whatever the hell they want to, and they will. And I think that's the beauty of all this stuff, is that literally, for real, once it leaves your hands, you're done. It's done. And I just hope to God that they just enjoy it for what it is. That they just love that journey and loving your coffee. Even if they do add some creamer to their coffee or sugar or whatever additive, cinnamon, spice, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's their coffee now. So, yeah. Just thinking about that. Think about that. Really, think about that. That's just not with just coffee or coffee creamer. It's like once somebody sells us something, do we truly, really use it the way that they intend us to use it? Probably with applications and or the situation the way it is. I need to count how many times I said situation, including that time. Do we truly, really use the product the way that the manufacturer intended us to? Again, same thing, 60, 70%. We do. We need it to do the thing that they said it's going to do, right? If it's even better than what it is, that's great too. We don't. We just do whatever the hell we want to. We got to realize that. We do whatever the hell we want to. So let's not treat coffee that differently. It's a beverage, it's a product that somebody bought. And again, once it leaves their hands, that's their journey. It's not ours. Talk to you later. Bye.